Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is newly Sarah Schultz, formerly Sarah Sperber, but Ryan and I finally decided after 5 years of marriage it was time to change my name. So all of that's going to be updated in the coming weeks, but I'm Sarah Schultz. I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market, and on today's video, as I do each and every single month, I'm going to be giving you an update based on the market data that was published in our MLS. They publish the data at the end of each and every month, and I deliver you a data deep dive, which means we go through all the important KPIs. If you do stay until the end, I'm going to give you my best advice for both buyers and sellers, so don't you dare go anywhere. We're going to dive right in. So on today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit differently than I normally do. Typically, when I pull the data, I usually only go through the KPIs for Reno and Sparks, but on today's video, I am going to be talking about Washoe County as a whole. So this content is not only about Reno and Sparks, it's pertinent to the entire county. Without further ado, let's dive on in. Some of these metrics definitely could have been, and I think were, probably predicted, but I'm going to share them with you anyway. The first up is the median sales price. This decreased by 6% month over month from the closeout of December, landing at $569,000. It is important to note though that this is 6.5% higher year over year. I did attend a seminar last week where I got all kinds of really cool market updates and data and just so much information about, the financial predictions and economic predictions for 2025. But one of the coolest pieces of data that they shared with us was that homes in Nevada on average appreciated by 12% last year. So if you bought in the beginning of last year, by the end of the year, on average, depending on, the home, the city, everything, your home likely was worth around 12% more than it was the year before. So that's pretty cool. And that just goes to show that even when the market is turbulent, which we know that it has been, especially with interest rates, the election, all kinds of things at play, it does go to show that over the long term, real estate continues to be an incredible tool for leveraging your investments. This next KPI is no surprise, at least to me, and I always tell you guys, the market around here just kind of crashes and burns during the holiday season, and so this is not shocking to me at all, though it is a big number, and we're going to talk about number of closed sales. This number decreased by more than 18% month over month from the closeout of December, but increased by 13.3% year over year. But yeah, I have to say, this year was no exception to what is typical, and that is that during these holiday months when people are busy with families and parties and decorating, meals, all the things that come with the holiday season, all of that kind of contributes to the fact that the market does see a lot less activity. So this is kind of, ringing true to that. But I'm going to keep going, so stay with me. There are a few surprises. Speaking of surprises, this next metric really did kind of catch my eye because median days to contract went down. Now, if you don't know what that number means, that's basically the number of days that it takes from the time that a listing is published on MLS to the time that, a buyer and seller get into contract and agree on a purchase price. That amount of time has actually significantly gone down for the closeout of December by nearly 20%. So that's a huge jump, and that's actually really unexpected. Normally, things just kind of sit. If you're a listing agent, a lot of times people will be told, hey, let's take your house off the market for the last 2 weeks of December all the way until February. That way our days on market isn't harmed. That is one strategy. Personally, for me, it depends on the actual seller, the actual property, the unique set of circumstances, but that is something that happens because typically listings do just tend to sit and rack up those days on market, which, if you've ever been a buyer or even, been buyer curious and looked on Zillow, we always look at number of days on market, right? Like, how long has this been sitting? And if it's a big number, it's like, how, what's wrong with this property? And so that's what we're trying to get away from if we're, managing a listing. We were pushing the envelope. I think we were close to 60 days on market. Now it's looking more like 40. And of course, if you're thinking about listing, it's telling us, okay, the market's heating up. Things are moving a little bit faster than they were the month before. I do have to point out though, that year over year, year, this number increased by over 28%. So that should tell you a little something. I'm going to keep going. Don't you go anywhere. Like I said, if you stay till the end, I do have advice for both buyers and sellers. Percent of list price received. I pretty much say the same thing about this metric each and every month, but in case you're new, I will say it again. This number rarely fluctuates in our market because if things are priced correctly or, within reason, typically a seller is going to get what they are asking. So this number landing at 98%, that's telling you that 98% of listings are getting what they were listed for, right? And so that kind of falls on the real estate professional to price it appropriately and market it efficiently and effectively. But what that's also telling you is that even through all the chaos, all the mortgage rate banter, all the election banter, all the external factors that we have no control of, this is telling us that our pricing here is still holding strong, and that even if the time that it takes is, fluctuating, overall, sellers are still getting what they are asking for, even if they have to wait a little bit longer. So that's good news if you are a seller. And, like I just said in the beginning of this video, the prices statewide for Nevada did appreciate by an average of 12% over the course of last year. So that's kind of telling you that no matter what, your investment and the overall worth of it is going to continue increasing even through all of these kind of like micro fluctuations. Let's talk about median sold price per square foot. Month over month, this decreased by 4.3%, but year over year increased by 6%. And that number that we landed on for our median price per square foot in our market in Washoe County is $310. Now, again, obviously, I don't need to sit here and explain to you guys the difference between average and median, but when you're thinking about numbers, just remember that median is like the middle of the road from all the others. It's not like all the others averaged together. So for the past year or longer, that median sales price has been well above $300 per square foot. It tends to fluctuate between $300 and $325 from what I've been seeing, but overall price per square foot in our market continues to rise. Number of new listings. This KPI, my friends, is the one that changed the most overall, and that number increased month over month by over 75%, and it also increased year over year by over 22%. That's a huge jump in number of new listings. And that number landed for the closeout of January at 407 new listings. Now, that might seem like, okay, great, there's like all this inventory to choose from. But like I can tell you and assure you that here on the ground, it does not feel that way. I think that part of this is just because December was like completely flatlined, right? Like there were no new listings. Unless there is like a family emergency, death, divorce, like all the things that cause people to have to sell, unless that's happening, most people, especially those working with a real estate professional, are advised, like, don't list your home right before the holidays. Don't do it. Like, there's going to be so much less traffic. So once we get over the hump of the holidays, I think it is normal to start seeing more inventory. I bet you that come the end of February, we're going to see a flood of new inventory in our market. So we could look at that 75+% increase and think like, wow, there's so much inventory, but not so fast, okay? Because the next KPI is going to tell more of the full story, and that is active inventory. So listings that are actually active. This number went down also significantly, not by 75%. We're talking 12% month over month, and it is up 20% year over year from the year prior. But let's just talk about that. So when number of new listings skyrockets, but active inventory plummets, what does that tell you? I think that that's telling you new listings that are hitting the market are getting absorbed, right? And when we look back at our earlier KPI that we already talked about, which is days on market, how that number decreased by nearly 20%, all of that does check out. Things are hitting the market, people are buying them, because even with new inventory hitting the market, we have a huge scarcity issue. I mean, this is a nationwide issue, but here in our market, it's even worse. It's particularly bad. At that same seminar that I went to last week, they did talk about this, and they said If the population in our market just completely stopped growing, right? If we just came to a complete standstill, it would take between 4 years and 10 years to actually build enough inventory to satisfy the needs of the demand in our population. And that's just kind of mind-blowing because obviously, like, our population growth isn't going to just stop. Like, people aren't going to just stop reproducing. We aren't going to stop attracting people to move here. So that's like not a real thing. So 4 to 10 years without all of that factor in. So if you do factor in the rapid development and economic growth that we're seeing here, I don't know, but that number could possibly double, triple. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But I would say that our scarcity crisis here is going to continue to be an issue for a long time. That is, in my opinion, what is continuing to keep the prices high. And even in the tightest of markets, we are still serving so many buyers and sellers. So many people are still coming here. So that's not going to change. Okay, the last point I will touch on here is months supply of inventory. So that is telling you, if you aren't familiar or if you don't watch my videos every month, that's telling you that if no new inventory hit the market, how many months would it take to absorb the current inventory that we have? And that number landed at 2.5, and even 2.5 months of inventory. That's what we have kind of laying around on the shelf, so to speak. That is nearly an 8% increase month over month and a 6.3% increase year over year. Okay, you guys, this is the moment you've all been so patiently waiting for, and I thank you for getting through all these data points with me, but it is really hard to give advice without kind of going through all the metrics with you. So I'm going to start with my buyers. If you are a buyer in today's market, here's the advice that I have for you. Inventory is up from last year at this time, which is great because it does give you some more choices. On top of that, median prices have dipped just a little bit, so that may help your buying power, although mortgage interest rates continue to be a huge obstacle in terms of buyer affordability right now. The winter slowdown is still semi in effect, but not for long. So for this exact moment, you may have a little bit of room to negotiate. You may have a little bit more power than you'll have maybe, let's say, a month from now. But with new listings surging by over 75%, that is telling you that competition's about to heat up. So that window of time is closing, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. If you are someone who's, gonna have to dig or contact your employer for your verification of income documents, if you're gonna need to dig up your tax returns and all the things, do not wait, and do not start shopping for homes and falling in love with homes without that stuff in hand, because I'm telling you, it is competitive out there, and it's going to get extremely competitive over the course of the next month or so. And you don't want to lose that home because it's going to take 2 or 3 days to get your pre-approval because you're waiting on documents, right? So my best advice for you buyers out there is to go into the game ready. Like, go in with what you need. Go in with your pre-approval, with your tools, with your list of must-haves. Be really clear about all of that so that you can be decisive. Come in empowered, educated, and ready. If you have questions about specific home types, neighborhoods, etc., I'm here to help you. Please use me as a resource. Median sales price is still higher than it was a year ago, and homes are still selling very close to list price. This is really good news for you guys if you're thinking about selling. You're definitely going to be facing a lot more competition against other sellers, other listings. Obviously, I always say make your listing shine. If you work with me, I love to have a hand in that, but I really mean it this time, you guys. Like, if you're listing your home, especially this time of year when the market just starts to pop off, like, you have to make it the best it can be if you're going to not only beat out other listings, but also get top dollar and up your ROI on your investment. So we're going to want to make sure, if you're able to stage, or if you're, still living there, we could talk about options like occupied staging and the like. There are a lot of ways that we can kind of up the ante on your home, help it sell faster, help the marketing materials look amazing, and hope that you get the best possible price in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress. So if you list now, you kind of have this unique opportunity. It could kind of give you a little head start before the crazy rush. If I'm speaking to you right now, if you are someone who's like, okay, like, I was waiting for the best time, the go ahead, and it's now. If you want to connect and chat, I would love to be of service to you. Whether you're buying, selling, relocating, I help buyers and sellers just like you all day long. Feel free to book a call with me. There's a link in the show notes to do that. It is no obligation, it's just a chance to connect, see if we might be a good fit to work together. At the very least, I will answer all of your questions and help you put a plan in place with your next and best steps. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos every single week about the Northern Nevada lifestyle, the Reno Sparks housing market, and of course, all things to do with buying and selling real estate. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week.